Get ready. Checkpoint. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. I'm Cassette Blue.
And I'm Sun versus the Moon.
How you doing, bud?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing actually pretty good. Getting some extra editing projects in and or for photography and really liking my results despite still waiting on my actual color corrected monitor to come in. So
very exciting. That is what I wanted to ask you about. So when is the Cassette, everybody, if you don't know, has been rocking on a hand-me-down monitor that I bought in 2002. It is a 21-inch 1650 by
1680 by 1050.
1680 by 1050 resolution. I also used one. I bought two way back then. I still use this as my chat monitor when I'm streaming. But his other monitor died, so he's been on the one dinky one. So tell us what you got. What's up?
I have a LG 27-inch 1440p 144 hertz G-Sync coming in. Apparently doesn't have the best contrast, but it's supposed to be the absolute sweet spot of cost and performance. And honestly, right now where I'm at, what I'm doing, that's all I need. So I'm very happy to finally be in that adaptive sync world for the first time.
Is it IPS, VA, or TN panel?
It is IPS.
Nice.
And
why do you choose an IPS panel? For people that may not know, why would you choose an IPS panel?
So an IPS panel generally, even these days with all the VA and TN improvements going on over the last few years, IPS is still going to give you the best color accuracy. It does have some issues in terms of response timing. I think the terminology is gray to gray is one of the measurements, right? So this one, I mean, they're always advertised as 1 millisecond response time. Not true at all. It's more like in the range of 4 to 5 milliseconds, but that's actually still an improvement over the previous monitor, which was advertised as 6 milliseconds. But for despite that drawback, you're going to have amazing color, and as a photographer and now doing video editing, I need color accuracy. So
the other big advantage of IPS is viewing angles.
That too, yes, has been amazing. Actually, I think my first iMac was an IPS panel too.
Well, the Dell you're using is an IPS, and the dual sight one you had before was also IPS.
Yeah, I remember that being an IPS. I didn't realize this was too, though. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, I actually rely on this as the default. I have my IPS 27-inch that I purchased about 5 years ago, 60 hertz. My kind of original big display that I bought more than 5 years ago. Actually, this is probably 2012 when I bought this one. Yeah, and then I have my G-Sync monitor that I bought about 4 years ago or so. Now, the monitor you bought is the one I was considering, but the 4K model, because I do want to buy a 4K monitor, but I'm waiting for HDMI 2.1 to come out so it can be officially supported by the PS5. Now, if PlayStation would do their duty and give us arbitrary resolutions and variable refresh rate technology in their output of their display in their dashboard, then we would be fine. But they only support 1080p and 4K, and that's it. At 120 and 60 hertz.
Give us 1440p users some love, please. We'd appreciate it.
Yes, give us 1440p, and I don't know why. Well, we'll touch on it, but don't make a game 1080p at 60 and then 4K 45. Make it 30, please.
We'll touch on that.
Just lock it at 30. On video game news, how's Need for Speed been treating you?
Oh man, so yes, because I had gotten the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate to access some EA Play titles, I did finally download Need for Speed Heat, and I've been having so much fun. I played a ton of Most Wanted and Carbon back in the day. and I just been craving having a more modern, updated, still arcadey, but still like part of that Need for Speed narrative racing game. And I mean, you saw me running around with my E30 and now my Z31 or S30. No, it's an S30. Why have I been saying Z31 all this time? Oh my gosh, my S30 Fairlady. Um, Beautiful, perfect car. I'm in heaven playing it. Honestly, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, Cassette, the first car he got is one of my all-time favorite cars. It's the M3, E30 M3. That one. I like the E36 as well. There was a blue color of the E36 M3 BMW that is awesome. And they had it in the same initial R32 VW R32,
Yeah.
that same color. Such a good blue. Yeah, but I love the E30. Boy, oh boy, I love the E30. Shall we jump on into our topics, or should we let's give a little rundown. So real quick, we're going to jump in with our kind of news topics, and then we are touching on Resident Evil. So stay tuned for our thoughts on Resident Evil coming out May 7th. There was a showcase that happened. We were not originally going to touch too much on it, but then we decided to go all in, and I downloaded the demo and we played it.
There's just always so much to do with RE. Like, why not?
Yeah. I agree. It's kind of like Metal Gear, if they're like with Ground Zeroes, like you want to play all that fun stuff. You want to, or Final Fantasy 15. It's really good if you play the gosh, what was the Noctis one where you play as Noctis as a kid, where Carbuncle saves him. They explain so much of the backstory where Noctis is hurt. I forget. It's one of those original demos, but it's kind of like that, where it's just fun to when they release so much content. Yes, I don't think there's a lot of spoils. Save my thoughts. We'll talk on it, but.
Favorite thoughts, yes.
We've considered making this a whole separate video for this week, and we still may split it out. We'll see how our runtime goes, but for now we're gonna hit at the end so we can kind of get in our this week, and then we can kind of touch on Resident Evil at the end. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, jumping into our first story here.
Let's do it.
Okay, so this is did we determine Schreier? We always say it different every time. What do we go with?
Everyone introduces him as Schreier, and they are. I mean, it sounds like some of the people that I checked with are people that he regularly works with. So I would hope that they would remember how to pronounce their cohorts' names. So yeah, let's say Jason Schreier.
Okay, once again, Jason Schreier is dropping some information. Now, this is kind of mostly, I don't know, gossip. So we wouldn't normally kind of touch on this stuff, but this is some really, we were actually going to avoid this. And then one of the subject of the article has spoken out, and we just kind of want to touch on it. So let's jump on into it. Essentially, Jason mentions that Sony is more focused on AAA content initially now, and it was causing unrest within their ranks. There is one thing that we want to mention, and we want to highlight this first. I really just want to showcase this. I want to make this full screen again. So Jason says, this is last week when he published the article. All the headlines based on my article today will focus on the games, but the real story here is the people. The people who tried to start something as new, but couldn't and left. We'll touch on that one. The people who left Bend because of the turbulence there, and the people who left Sony Japan. So that's what we're going to focus on. Yes, they announced that there is we're going to be focusing on the remakes of The Last of Us. That does tie these in, but the games are not as important as the industry talk here. So essentially, do you want to give us the initial rundown, and then we'll kind of go from there?
Sure. So Jason in this article talks about the Visual Arts Service Group, which is a portion of Sony that sort of, I almost want to describe them as like a finisher group. They help with speeding up the development of titles, helping with polishing up art and assets, etc. So they've been working in Sony as kind of like an unofficial group for a long time. And some of the people, remind me his name, the person who was leading it.
Michael Mubauer.
Thank you, Michael Mubauer. So he wanted to take VASG into more of a primary role, leading their own projects. And one of the things that they wanted to do was look into starting out with maybe doing a remake of the game. And a good remake that would make sense would be The Last of Us. I think they looked into doing Uncharted
Initially,
first,
they
right?
were going to do that, but they found the tech was too old and too out of date. They would have to do too much
Right. Yeah.
from the ground up, and they decided The Last of Us, one, the popularity was obvious, but it's a more up-to-date modern game. Yes.
Right, and you know, you'd be able to see that with the fact that they have Last of Us Remaster, which is on the PS4 SDK, which is something that would not be a huge leap to take to the PS5, unlike something that would be or have been developed in the PS3 era. They worked on starting this remake for the PS5 as sort of a package of initially wanting to bring Last of Us 2 to the PS5 as well, I think was one of their hopes. So it'd be a 2-game package. People who are more in charge of the financial aspects, Herman Holst. Can you give us a little bit of a background on him?
Yeah, so Herman Holst is the guy that came from Guerrilla Games. Now, Guerrilla is Killzone, Horizon. They did the Decima engine that Death Stranding is built upon, right? So they make cool stuff, and they make good tech, and people like them. Shuhei Yoshida, bless all praise, stepped down to take a lower role last year, and Herman Holst was promoted to his previous role, and he is now head of PlayStation. So he is the equivalent of Phil Spencer on the Xbox side, whereas Phil is seemingly just making me feel cozy as all hell for a corporate dude. Go back and please watch. We're going to showcase this. I think we're going to make a clip of it. We did episode showcasing the Microsoft acquisition of Bethesda. Was it 2 episodes ago now? Was that episode 5? I think I gave all my thoughts there. I think he's making the right moves. I'm loving what Phil's doing, man. Awesome job. But Herman Holst seems to be completely the opposite. The way Sony is making these moves, it's making me kind of nervous overall. Herman Holst, let's not forget, is the guy that said, why would people want to play older video games? He's the reason, he's the driving force behind the PlayStation Store closing down. I'm sure it's hard to maintain. I know it's been broken for a long time. There are actual issues. I don't know if you're aware of this, Cassette. Have you tried to add anything have you tried to buy anything on the PlayStation 3 store?
Not on the PS3 store. I did want to boot up my PS3 to take a look around, though, to see what would happen, if anything.
So if you try to go to it, there is no buy button. There's like a add to wish list, I think, is the button that gets highlighted. You push up on the D-pad, and then you hit the A button or the X button, and it will add it to your cart. You can only have 10 things in your cart at one time. Now, this is not just now. This has been a long-standing issue. So I understand that it's broken. I understand that they don't want to maintain it, but they should still bring those assets forward to the new modern server. I mean, the PSN is fine. He has no faith in old games. He is the big blockbuster, big pusher. He wants big action. You know, he came from the studio Horizon, right? That's what they do. Killzone. You know, they like these big games. And now that he is the head, they are trying. There are 3 things that we've known that are happening, and that's just kind of sad. But the big one is, we're going to touch on it. We can bring it in now, but it's actually a pretty good place to jump in. Japan studio closing down. Basically, they want to move away. They've issued a statement. They want to move away from smaller games that only sell well in Japan, which is such a shame, because if you're part of our audience, those are the games you really like. Those are the games I love. That's why most of the time I love those Sony IP, right? And we don't have those anymore. It's sad that we don't that we're not going to really have that moving forward. They had a large exodus of very large players. You know, even the Sony side of Bloodborne left. I forget his name; it escapes me. But when that happened, he left as well. So they had a mass exodus. I don't like the direction that Herman Holst seems to be giving off. I don't even know what the reasoning is. It makes no sense, because people still buy these things. Now, I know people are rushing to buy software right now from the store, so it's making them all money. But regardless, it is scary to me to see his lack of interest in preservation and his lack of interest in smaller, more unique titles. That's my rant about Herman Holst.
I appreciate that. But basically, Holst, sorry. I always want to say Holst the Planets. Holst had said that basically VASG was spending too much money on the development of the remake for The Last of Us because, well, making a new engine for PS5 is probably going to be very expensive because it's a new platform. It's a lot of assets to either completely rework or to convert over. He did not like that idea whatsoever. And then I guess at that time that was happening, Naughty Dog was falling behind on development for Last of Us 2, and so VASG was pulled to assist them with that. And then after that, Naughty Dog was pulled in to assist with developing the remake project for Last of Us 1. Autonomy was taken away from VASG and given to Naughty Dog over the project. They were given more discretion over their own budget, etc. VASG took a backseat again, so now it's not their project anymore. They don't get to lead the project that they were supposed to be leading, and basically just turning into, I guess, people have been joking around calling them Naughty Dog South. So they're barely even their own team anymore, and a lot of their leads have left since. It's just kind of an unfortunate breakdown because for me, it's great seeing that this team that has been working on everyone else's projects for so long, wanting to do their own thing, and then all of a sudden it's just like, well, you've done all this wonderful work for us, but it wouldn't be worthwhile for you to do it, so you don't get to take your leading role ever.
The project was T1X, and they were making it in house. Yeah. Okay. The reality is, though, that was bound to happen, right? Like, there's no way that I was gonna say Naughty Dog. They weren't not south as in like a negativity. Just they're down in San Diego,
Right,
so
right,
they're
yeah.
physically. I'm just letting people know. They're down in San Diego, so they're Naughty Dog South. Anyway, what did they think was going to happen? Truly, I know it's kind of a bummer. They said that they chose to go with this one because it was a safe property. So I get that they sought this out. They wanted to do either Uncharted or this, and instead, but they kind of seemed like they should have made their own thing or pick something else because truly, I can't see the folks at Naughty Dog that's like their baby, and when something happens, if they're going to be remaking it, of course they're going to get their hands back on it. Of course they're going to take ownership back over it. It does not surprise me even a little bit, especially, and I know this is just my experience in my side of being exposed to it, but these guys were the help team. They will always be the help team in the views of Naughty Dog. Unfortunately, that is the way it is. I've worked many years as a vendor or in these type of roles or a contract, role, and you will always be viewed as that. Even if they were brought on as a team, as team members, sometimes people just have this superiority view. And of course, if it's their property and their baby, it makes total sense why they would just be like, no, this is ours, thank you. But we do need help making some of the assets and some of the work. Thanks, guys. You still have jobs, but we don't want you to do it. So that's when they had the exodus, and the people left. They had some talent leave, unfortunately. The other part of this that Jason mentioned was the people who left Bend because of turbulence. Now, this one we weren't going to talk about because it's kind of drama related, and I kind of feel it's a little bit annoying to talk about drama. But John Garvin, the writer of Days Gone, who created Bend, Sony Bend Studios created Days Gone. He was on David Jaffe's podcast, and during their interview, he made some pretty inflammatory comments about gamers and behavior and attitudes, and we originally weren't going to even get into it, but it's so ludicrous and it's so obvious and so apparent why he was removed from a project. And it was very wild that in this interview, Jaffe straight up calls him out a few times. And if you don't know David Jaffe, he's very bullheaded. He is also an attitude in the industry. He created God of War, Twisted Metal, made some fun games, left. Cory Barlog came in with 2, and Cory Barlog, wrote the remake God of War, totally took it to a new direction, really brought Kratos as the character out. Everything that you love about God of War now is Corey, and his team, but Sony Santa Monica. But originally, you got to give credit to Jaffe initially, but he hasn't really made very many. Drawn to Death was not it. Nah, dude. And I don't want to, it's hard for me to I'm not a game developer, so I have no business, really talking smack about it. But from a game player perspective, it was very interesting. Just on a side note, Jaffe mentioned that he blamed Sony's focus group testing for the lack of performance on Drawn to Death, when I vividly remember the E3 when it was announced, and I'm like, this looks like garbage, dude. It doesn't look fun. It's an arena shooter where you're supposed to be the drawings of a kid in their notebook, and then you come to life and you do attacks. It's ugly. It looks ugly. It didn't look fun at the time. And he came out in this interview and was like, yeah, the focus group said it was a really good game, and then they came out and it got canned. And I'm like, bro, the game looked trash from the beginning. What you mean? But
it always seems like that quality assurance is the first ones to get thrown under the bus a lot of times, especially in video game development. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I've heard this line of talking like a few times before from other developers.
So I think we can kind of tie into the John Garvin situation by right here. So this is from the article. This is from Jason's article. The fixation. Let me go full screen. The fixation on teams that churn out hits is creating unrest across Sony's portfolio of game studios. Oregon-based Sony Bend, best known for their 2019 open-world game Days Gone, tried unsuccessfully to pitch a sequel that year. According to people familiar with the proposal, although the first game had been profitable, its development had been lengthy and critical reception was mixed. So a Days Gone 2 was not seen as a viable option. Instead, one team at the studio was assigned to help Naughty Dog with the multiplayer game, while the second group, I don't think we need to talk about this. Ben's developers feared they might get absorbed into Naughty Dog. Okay, regardless, it was the first one I wanted to talk about because John Garvin comes out and, do we have the tweet about... Yes, okay. From Push Square, this is their article on it, and this is what originally brought me to David Jaffe's podcast. I don't normally watch it. I'm not a huge fan of his. I find him a bit off-putting. I don't like fake macho dudes or just gamer guy attitudes. Not my thing. So I don't tend to correlate with those audiences. But I respect when he calls people out because he definitely does, including himself too. But so this is what kind of got everybody's attention. He comes out, this is his reasoning for the sequel being not happening. If you love the game, buy it at full effing price. I can't tell you how many times I've seen gamers say, yeah, I got that on sale. I got it through PS Plus, whatever. And this is a response to say, I do have an opinion on that your audience may find of interest and may piss some of them off. This was in response to why it wasn't getting a sequel. Now, his argument of this is insane to me. He should be excited and happy that people are able to play his game, that it's available for... There is no way people were going... I was never going to play it if it was not going to be... I was interested in playing this. It's on PS Plus. With the PlayStation 5 patch now, kind of cool, man. I was kind of interested in booting it up and checking it out, right? So it's coming to PC, so you may have some cool high resolution things. And I got to tell you, man, his attitude makes me even less. So I feel he should be excited because the more eyeballs that are on this property is good thing, and it's great. Jaffe actually even commented on that when Cassette pointed this out to me, and I hadn't seen it yet, and I was very excited to hear him say that because it's so true. It's not about... And Days Gone sold well. That's the thing. It's not like it was a stinker. It got kind of panned in the reviews, which is why I didn't personally care about it because I heard about the bugs. And then I saw it, open world zombie game, post-apocalyptic with the biker guy main character. I just really wasn't that interested, man. It's kind of played out. It's like what's the dude from Walking Dead? It's like him, the video game, right? Daryl.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah. So it's like I get it, but apparently Deacon St. John is better writing, so I don't want to nail him too hard, but I personally wasn't immediately that interested. But then when I saw the performance and the bugs and everything, I was just kind of like, nah, I'm good. I think I'll pass. And now that I saw it available, I'm like, yeah, I'll play it. And all those numbers on the back end, if so many people, if this got good word of mouth, if I stream this, if you stream this, if we made videos on this, if we got other people to play this, every one person that downloads this or buys this or plays it, that's a good thing for him. He should be excited that more people are playing his game, because then that alone will get him interest. It was already profitable. It's not like it sold bad. The dude got fired. We found, and you know, we find out through all of this, but I want to post one thing. This is from a while back. This is from last year.
And a side note, really quick, supposedly by June 2019, it was the 8th best-selling video game of that year.
There you go. So he made this. I remember this because Cassette and I brought this up to Cassette, and this is why we originally started going down this pipe, because I remembered this tweet, and I messaged him and I was like, well, I guess we're going to talk about this now. So he's like, hi all, quick announcement. I haven't spoken about this before for various reasons, but I'm no longer with Ben Studios, and I haven't been for about a year. Last year, the dude, he hasn't been there for 2 years now. So what happened is, this right here with the studio, it's not like the studio was collapsing or being absorbed or anything like that. But they were straight up left without a creative director for the past 2 years. What else are they going to be doing? You know what I mean? It makes total sense why they were used and leveraged as this. And let's not forget, if you're unfamiliar with John Garvin, I invite you to watch the interview. Because it was very apparent he also he's like a Kojima, he's like an auteur in that regard, where, you know, it's a Hideo Kojima game produced by Hideo Kojima, written by Hideo Kojima. John Garvin has made it a point to say that he wrote every piece of dialogue. Like all that is him. All that thing is him. So he has made it like, this is me. This is good because of me, right? Fuck you, right? First of all, but come on, get over yourself, bro. But
yeah.
but let's say that is the case. So what does that mean? So that means he fostered a development studio that had all eyes on him. That nobody was allowed to make any decisions without his say. I've worked under people like that. You don't have, you have to get that kind of buy off. So what do you think is going to happen when that person pieces out? There's no direction. They have nothing. It makes total sense. And it has a pretty cool silver lining, though. At the end of this, what's the comment he made? I was going to bring it up specifically. They got their wish last month, and they are now working on a new game, their new game of their own that will be part of a brand new franchise. So that's awesome. They got it approved. Finally, they obviously impressed somebody. So it's obvious that it's not a money thing. It's an attitude thing. And we got to watch this, because this blew my mind when Cassette played it for me. And let me just go full screen so you guys can see it. And we'll just get this. We'll take his. I'm not going to interrupt him. I'm going to let him speak his mind, or Jaffe. But Jaffe straight up calls him out here. I got to respect it.
Let me ask you a question. I know the answer. I know your answer is going to be diplomatic. But if that happened with Days Gone, and let's cross our fingers. Let's hope it does. Let's hope the great Cinderella story of Days Gone is when people were able to play it without the annoying Metacritic, without the annoying, messaging from some certain critics, they actually realize, holy shit, this is really fucking good. Okay? Yeah. And they say, let's make another one. It's like, well, one of the reasons it's really fucking good is, John Garvin. If they came back to you and said, we're sorry, we were wrong, would you go back?
Well, you're starting with a flawed premise, though. As I said earlier, I didn't leave because Days Gone 2 didn't get made. I was gone before that was ever a decision.
No. But I'm not starting with a flawed premise. Let's put it this way. Your premise, or me reading the tea leaves, me reading between the lines, would suggest that you were fired from Ben because you were a disruptive personality, and that worked with a smaller team and a medium-sized team. But as the budgets and the stakes got higher and the number of people that had to work on the team got bigger, that personality, at least according to that company, was no longer the right fit. Would you agree with that?
Definitely.
Okay, so my premise is accurate, because would you also agree with the fact that as long as you're making Sony a lot of money, or any company a lot of money, that barometer for how much of a pain in the ass you get to be, that where you land on the spectrum can be very different. I'm almost certain, I don't think Neil Druckmann's an asshole. I don't know him. But if Neil Druckmann's an asshole, I think the tolerance for Neil Druckmann being an asshole versus you being an asshole right now is probably higher. Would you agree with that?
Dude, it's all speculation.
Of course, but that's fun. We're not politicians. Well, then we'd be lying, but we're just talking.
All I'm going to say is I definitely think that.
All right, so that's where it ends. He's deflecting, but essentially, it's pretty clear. I mean, Jaffe straight up says it made money. You have the ability. He straight up says, like somebody that barometer. If you make us money, it doesn't really matter. And it was pretty obvious that it sold well. And his attitude for I would imagine they got some pushback. He wanted to remain, if he is the be all end all, there was like Jaffe said, we don't know what the drama was initially, that whatever caused him to go, but he obviously was he goes on to say, if you watch the interview, he goes on to like take personal offense at, he names people like Jeff Gersman from Giant Bomb and Greg Miller, right? Greg Miller from whatever. Anyway, so he like what's their Kind of Funny Games. And, he straight up calls them out by name, saying, like, I know these guys, and they gave me a bad score, too. I'm like, dude, it's business, man. Like, This is wild how it's, bottom line was, though, it still sold well. He could have just shut his mouth. I'm sorry, but like Jaffe said, and if you have to be very clear to understand, like when I say, and you say, like, Jaffe says, when the budgets get bigger and the amount of people, expand, that's straight. What he's saying is, yes, if you have a small team of, let's say, 20 people or whatever, and yeah, you can kind of push your weight around. But once the stakes start getting bigger and you start getting into multi-million, 20, 30, whatever million, how many hundreds of million, I don't know how much it's going to cost these days to make all these new fancy games, whatever, if they're thinking the sequel, right, for 3 to 4 years from now, they're thinking some high tech stuff, right? Who knows what's going to happen, but regardless, they're not going to take chances on something like that. And he straight up gets mad at the scores and at the fact that it's not getting a sequel because of the scores. And come on, dude, it's not even you made a post-apocalyptic zombie game in the year 2019 or whatever, right? I mean, it's like we'd already passed all that. It wasn't. Yeah. I was not. Yeah, if this came out, 5 years ago, 2012, I would have been way into it. But I'm just me personally, I'm kind of over that. I don't know.
There was also an interesting comment made during the video when you and I were watching it about feeling that it's unfair that the game was scored and reviews released before and also like not considering the day one patch. And it kind of makes you wonder, like, in the future when you can't download patches for a particular platform, the only way that you're probably going to be able to, unless you get like a Game of the Year edition of a game, I suppose, that already has a lot of patches pre-installed on it, if you're going to get an initial release of a game that had like a day one patch, but there's no way for you to download that patch, and so you have to play the game in that original condition. Isn't that basically what the game is?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's kind of ridiculous, actually, that we have
an expectation for day one patches.
Yes, that's perfect. Yes, if you're going to, they release, they say the game has gone gold. Okay, if the game has gone gold, the game has gone gold. Yeah. That's your release code.
Yeah.
You should review game has gone gold. Don't be offended if a game has gone gold and it's out to the printers and every retail store has it and somebody gets a hold of it, or you send it to somebody early and they review it. Don't be surprised if there is a issue, because there was a ton of tech issues initially that they blamed all on that day one patch. I don't know. I didn't play it. I don't know how it got improved. I was not following along, so I'm very ignorant on the actual development process. The only reason why I was even interested is because now they have like a PS5 version or option. I'm like, cool, okay. But
so congratulations on that title getting a PS5 patch.
It's wild, man. He should be so. Even though he's just mad, he's still bitter. It's wild to me, man. He should be so stoked that people are playing his game. He should be so excited. If he is the writer, if he is the auteur, if he is the be-all, end-all of Days Gone, he should be, oh, man, a lot of people are going to play this on PC. I'm going to get more eyeballs. I can see, the problem is, I can go to another studio, and here's my thing. This is why you should fund me, because I'm an awesome writer. He should be stoked on this. Instead, you know what's happening? We're talking about his bad attitude. We're talking about the way he left the company and then left his team. What kind of damage did he do to Bend for the past 2 years? It makes me so frustrated when I was seeing. It's so clear that I was watching all these. I watched a few video game podcasts, and I was listening to some of them, and it was so clear to me how obvious it was that these people did not even read this article. They just read this headline, and they were focusing on the games aspect, like Jason said. Boy, that was frustrating to me. Anyway, it's so obvious why this happened. It's like if Cory Barlog left Sony Santa Monica right now. What would they do? They'd be like, or if Neil Druckmann just left Naughty Dog. It's like, it makes total sense why this company was relegated to helping out, here, there, and kind of became like a secondary studio for a time being. And congratulations to them for finding themselves, for getting for staying autonomous. They had not been shuttered yet. They still have their studio, and they got they got greenlit last month. That's exciting, man. He should be so stoked for his old team. It's crazy to me that he's this upset about it. I don't know. All ships rise together, dude. Don't harbor hate. That bothers me.
And it's a great reminder to both people who are doing games journalism and also the players of the games that a developer is more than just its name and its lead person for a project. There's also a lot of other people involved, and sometimes the people and the stories of the people are more important than what title is here or there.
The next thing we're going to touch on is E3. Little E3 news. Not a ton. E3 is happening again. Not in person. It will be all digital. Verified that will be there. Nintendo, Xbox, Capcom, Ubisoft, Take-Two, Warner Brothers, and Coke going to be there too. The big ones, though, interesting. Sony and EA are not going to be there. So I'm guessing Sony's doing their own thing, like you mentioned.
Yeah. Either this or Summer Game Fest, which we will be hearing more about hopefully in May to see who's going to be participating. That is supposed to be happening in June as well, I believe. And we'll see how that gets differentiated.
Is this Keeley's show?
It is.
Yeah. This is going to be the big one to watch this year. He's really brought that. The video game awards were so cheesy when they first started. I thought it was so corny. I still hate the bits. His sneakers are weird. Him as himself, he seems like a nice guy. I can't hate on him too much. He's like a really nice guy, actually. But he's making he's making it happen. I got to give props to the guy.
Yeah.
He single-handedly is basically saving the the advertising industry for the games. You know what I mean? Like industry.
Actually.
He's a non-lobbying firm, so I got to give him credit. It's funny, and sometimes he's memeable. Dorito Pope, but he's not a lobbying firm. He loves the games. He truly just loves it. So I respect it.
Was that him?
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. It's hard to take seriously. He's a meme. But he seems like a genuinely nice guy, and he's making it happen. Fucking props, man. It's awesome. Yeah. I'm all about it because the ESA sucks. The ESA is so corporate. They leaked they doxed all those journalists last year. Golly, they just make the worst moves. This is not going to hurt anybody. I think it's good for journalists. The E3 is the best for journalists. As much as they don't like it, it's a nice place for them to kind of come together. But I don't think this is necessary. Sony's or Nintendo's doing their own thing, which kind of throws me off why they're here. Would they normally do their own just video, So what are they doing?
I would imagine it's just good timing. They probably have some stuff that they want to announce around that time anyway, so it just makes sense for it to be around the same time.
I suppose, but it's just weird. They normally just do their directs, so I don't.
Yeah.
Anyway, Xbox for sure, but also Microsoft they have their own theater down there, and when they normally put on the show. So essentially, I just don't know how needed this is. I know it's good for the industry as a whole. I think I would be sad to see it go away. It needs to be there. I don't know, man.
Or at least something needs to be there in its place at the very least.
Sure. Let's go Keeley. Just keep supporting Keeley.
Mm-hmm.
Keep making the moves. Even if your show is 40 minutes of advertisements, don't do that anymore. The end of that last show was nothing but ads. That was so brutal. So regarding our next story, we're going to jump right into it real quick, kind of rapid fire. Kind of cool news. Square Enix, has re-registered the trademark for Front Mission. Front Mission is a mech strategy game series, if you're not familiar. Originally on the Super Nintendo. My first experience with Front Mission was the game that Cassette played recently. I played a fan translation of it back when I was 17, maybe 16, something like that. I never beat it, just played a little bit of it. And I played some of the PlayStation ones. And there was a 3D one on a PlayStation that I really liked. I don't remember the name. And I think
3 was the one that originally came on PlayStation.
Okay. Yes. And then was there a PS3 one? I don't remember. I feel like I played a PS2 or PS3 one. I don't remember which one.
There was one interim one before they had that third-person action game that was based in the universe. I can't even remember what that one was called right now.
Right.
But,
anyway, regardless,
title.
my two main ones that I was exposed to were the fan translation of the Super Nintendo version and then the PlayStation 1 version. So, Cassette recently played through it. Tell us why you're excited about Front Mission.
Front Mission is just a really cool universe. It's a slightly alternate universe Earth. Still the same countries and political histories, but there are Vonsers, which are basically bipedal tanks, generally bipedal tanks, big old robots, and we love our giant robots here. And so it's basically just a really cool strategy game where you get to slowly piece your way through a battle with robots that you've developed out of individual parts that you've chosen specifically for certain scenarios and situations. And it's just so cool. I remember playing Front Mission 3 for the first time on PlayStation, loving the music, loving the robots. Even then, I wasn't really sure about turn-based strategy games, but I don't know. I think it was just the perfect convergence of all those things for me. And then recently we jumped into Front Mission 1 on my stream, and I've been really digging that, but I still need to go back into it and do some grinding because I'm on a very hard mission that I couldn't figure my way through. But it would be nice to jump back into that sometime.
What's the roguelike game that's mech and it kind of has that kind of look? I never played that. Do you have any interest in that one? I forget the name escapes me right now. It'll come to me.
I'm missing that name.
Tip of my tongue, I know. Into the Breach. That's what it's called. Have you played Into the Breach?
No, but I remember it now, and yes, I'm very interested in that. It sounds really hard.
Yes, every time I've watched somebody play it, it seems very hard.
Yeah. But it's a roguelike, whatever. It's supposed to be kind of like that. Yes, I do want to try that. Thank you for reminding me about that title. That is definitely something that I'm very interested in looking into.
Why we have Cassette's loves, but hitting on the next one here, we just want to we want to just touch on this. Coming from we touched on it earlier. So I have experience with Robotech, and I never had a lot of Macross experience. And Cassette, we had a similar exposure initially to Robotech, and then he discovered Macross and kind of really ran with it. And it's one of his favorites. If you ever watch his stream, that's like his aesthetic. That's the Lin May. I mean, that's everything. It's Macross. So the fact that we got this news, go ahead, take it away.
Yeah. Okay. So, if any of you remember, if you were raised or grew up similarly to Son or myself or our friend Levolution, shout out Levo.
Sup, Levo? Shout out Levolution.
You may have seen Robotech on Toonami or something. It was really cool. 80s space opera with aliens and transforming robots and stuff. All that was based off of Macross. So it was using the same animation, just story and characters adapted for Western audiences. And for the longest time, Harmony Gold was they distributed Macross for international audiences. They were supposed to be the sole distributor. Ever since the first series came out, that was adapted into Robotech, there have been many other ones, but none of those have ever been really distributed or seen outside of Japan. So they only basically have fan subs for the most of them. And so they've been kind of in a legal battle because Macross originally was developed in partnership with Studio Nue Tatsunoko, who we know and love, and it was kind of funded by, or majority funded by, Big West Advertising. And a lot of these kinds of big projects are extremely expensive. Animation is expensive. Back in the 80s and probably 70s and 90s still, you had a lot of partnerships putting together shows. So Harmony Gold has been trying to assert its international license for the longest time, and Studio Nue and Big West have been fighting it because they've been saying, like, you only got this license via Tatsunoko, and they don't have jurisdiction over the entirety of the international license. And they've finally, this past month, won that ongoing legal battle that I think has been going on for like 20 plus years.
Whoa.
So it could mean that we finally get to see other Macross series, hopefully not adapted to Robotech, but remaining Macross, be officially distributed, maybe even get dubs in other languages all over the world. That would be fantastic. It would mean that Do You Remember Love finally gets to be re-released, and hopefully in the US, because I would love to own that film so much. Yeah, it's wonderful news. Weirdly enough, I checked to see who had been distributing Macross digitally on Amazon and all the different releases. They have been pulled.
Oh.
All of them have become unavailable, including all the OVAs and side movies and stuff.
Wow.
So I wonder if this decision is going to change up the way that, or like who specifically, or via what avenues the shows are distributed. I remember Funimation was supposed to start showing Robotech on their website for streaming, but who knows if that plan might actually change as well. We'll see. But please, if you get a chance, check out Macross. Hopefully in the future, this means that there's going to be more avenues for you to be able to do so. It is a fantastic show. If you like Gundam at all, or any
big
sort
robots,
of space opera, if you like big
scramble
robots,
missiles,
it's great. And please, if any time, ask me anything about Macross. I love talking about it. So yeah, that's some wonderful news on that.
The last thing that I wanted to talk about today. Now, this isn't like official, but apparently EVGA is starting production back up of Pascal video cards. I have a Pascal video card.
So do I.
I am very sad about this. They obviously, it's easy for them to do. Now, initially, people thought that this was, when I say Pascal, this is a 10 series video card. I have a 1080. It is not. It is at its ropes, buds. The 1080 Ti, I think, would perform a little better. So yes, it would help me get to maybe 30 frames at, or high resolution or high quality 30 frames, at 1080p type thing. I think I could get there on the newer games. Right now, I just can't maintain it. I hit about 20, like on Cyberpunk, I hit about like 25 when I try to go to max quality, but 30 frames. It's a huge bummer that it's not even a touring video card, which is the 20 series. The 20 series is still quite good. If you have a 2070 Super or a 2080 Ti, the 2080 Ti is awesome. Real quick, can I just have a mini rant for a hot second? This Ti moniker, do you know that it's officially like Thai?
Yeah.
Bro.
You told me about that before.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
Yeah, it's supposed to be titanium.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be the model number, is the GTX Titanium, but it's so sucky that nobody calls it Thai. It's always TI, bro. Anyway, whatever. When I heard that, I was like, what? That's so gross. I mean, I always wonder what TI did. What the heck is TI, right? But anyway, so this bums me the heck out, man. I guess this is good for people that just need a card to hold them over until something happens. But what the heck, man? This is just nuts to me that this is even happening. Oh yeah, well, what I was going to say is the article mentions that people thought they may have just been like reclaimed or RMA recovered GPUs. Often if you have a card, You can replace many things. The circuit board itself is very easily replaceable. If the GPU itself is still solid, they can do wonders with broken GPUs. I mean, we saw them do. Initially were those mining cards. Because they were headless. They didn't have any video output, so you could buy a card that had a botched video output and turn it into just like a workhorse in your machine as another unit. So the GPU is all that's required, but it seems that they're printing, that they're creating new ones. So I don't know, man.
I guess if you're looking for a starter machine pre-built, at least you'll have a 1080 Ti that will, help you with Bejeweled and Half-Life 2. And
I mean, it's fine for anything that's older. My machine is great for anything that's older than Cyberpunk.
And to be fair, my 1060 is still allowing me to play games.
Right.
It's just like you, I'm at my limit. I can't do newer games without significant sacrifices to quality.
Do not buy a machine. Do not try to build a computer right now. Buy a pre-built. Just buy a pre-built. You can get a pre-built for like $2,000, and it sucks, but it's gonna have maybe a 3070 in it. Whereas you could at least use those parts for something else. That's ridiculous. I know, paying $2,000 for a 3070, but at least you have
about
parts.
how much you would probably close to be paying a scalper for it, and at least you get the other stuff.
Right.
And like I said I think it was your stream the other day, like it's always good to have some extra parts lying around because things go wrong and you have to test it.
Now it's going to be a booty version. It's not going to be one that's probably going to have some bad power delivery. It's probably going to have bad thermals, I don't want to do that, but otherwise, console.
Depending on the availability and the prices of these 1080 Ti's, maybe I'll just get an interim video card.
So
probably not. They'd
sucky.
probably be several $100s. So
Yeah, get a PlayStation.
Idea,
it's it's marginally better. My video card, it's not. It's about 30 to 40% faster. A Ti to yours is about 30 to 40% faster for sure. It would be a marketed difference for you. But just buy a PlayStation if you can. You know what I mean? Like Demon Souls, Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, bro.
Just thinking about how I always man a 1440p monitor, and running games at 1440p always sucks. But then also, get a PS5 instead, but that PS5 doesn't really care about 1440p. So
no, it'll be all 1080. That's why I'm waiting.
Connectivity makes things hard.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting for the HDMI 2.1 4K monitors. They're going to probably be they're going to be $1 bazillion, and they're going to sell out instantly. But I need a 4K monitor for my work. I hate that I still have this other one that you and I share the resolution for. It would be great to have a proper 4K monitor for work. But as soon as I go back into the office, I'm going to be back on not. So who knows? Okay, so to wrap it up, just to kind of give you guys a heads up, the next month or so is going to be very interesting. Next weekend, next Friday, we've got Nier Replicant coming out. Now, I'm not going to stream this. We're going to play Budsday Let's Play. Cassette and I I'm going to be playing, and Cassette's going to be on the mic with me. We're going to be doing this, but playing Nier, and we're going to put it up for a Let's Play. We're going to try to play Friday. If I can, I'm going to buy the PlayStation 4 version. I'm going to order it from Best Buy, so hopefully I should be able to have it delivered, and hopefully we can get it Friday. I'm debating even just going to get a pickup. Maybe I'll just in-store so I can guarantee that we get it Friday. And then we'll play Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, see how far we get. Maybe Monday. I don't know if we're going to finish the game in that time. At least maybe we'll see. But then that will give Cassette time to edit it, and then we're going to put that up because after that, so we're probably not going to be streaming. I'm probably not going to be streaming that week. Was it next weekend? Let's see here. That is next weekend. Yeah. Weekend. So I probably will not be streaming next weekend because we'll be recording Nier offline. But then the weekend after that, Resident Evil 8 is coming out. Resident Evil Village is coming out. And I initially was not going to stream that. I was considering doing the same thing, offline playthrough. But I had such a good stinking time playing the demo last night with chat. Oh my goodness, I haven't had that much fun streaming in a very long time. So I am definitely going to be streaming that. So definitely stay tuned. On May 7th that comes out. So May 8th, we will be streaming Resident Evil 8 for sure. Other than that, expect also to see another video coming shortly with this. We're going to be talking about Resident Evil Showcase. we're at about an hour runtime right now. So after editing, I'm going to guess this is going to be cut down to about, half hour, 45 minutes or so. No, maybe not that long. Yeah, we had some pretty big breaks actually in the middle of this.
Yeah,
so we maybe 45 minutes, which is perfect. And we'll hit you with a Resident Evil. Cassette, do you have any parting words?
No, just wanted to thank everybody for watching and appreciate everyone coming in on our streams and hanging out. Y'all are wonderful. Spread the word. Let them know about Budsday today. We'd love to meet some new people, and check out the link tree, linktr.ee/Budsday today. Check us out on Twitter. Get in contact if you have any questions or have any ideas for any topics you want us to touch upon.
Hit our Discord if you want to hit us up with any suggestions or anything you want to see. Hit us on Twitter. Please shout out us. I would love to incorporate a section with the audience. I still want to do that. I would love to have some audience interaction. If there's anything you want to say, please tweet at us or hit us up in the old Discord. Anyway, thanks, buds. Cheers. Cassette. Bless.
Thank you so much.
See you next Budsday.
See you on the next video.
Yeah. See you for Resident Evil. Cheers, buds.
Take care.
There's a Windows sound. Dang it. Windows sound. Windows sound. Dang it. Oh.